Hey guys, today I'm going to run through my Black Friday video game pickups and show you some Transformers purchases that I made the same weekend. Stick around and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Hey folks, Em here from Transformers and Video Games, and welcome back to the channel. As I mentioned earlier, today I'm going to run through my Black Friday video game pickups, as well as a modern Transformers pickup that I made at EB Games here in Canada. And finally, I'm going to get into some vintage Gobots and Transformers that I bought from the flea market on the Sunday of Black Friday weekend. So without further delay, let's get right into it. Alright, so we'll start things off with a video game related purchase that I made from Walmart. This is of course the Commodore 64 Mini. Now just to give you an idea here, this retailed here in Canada not too long ago for $100, which I quite honestly thought was a little bit expensive for what you're getting. I mean, sure, it comes with 64 games, but I don't have any serious nostalgic ties to the Commodore 64. I didn't own one back in the day. This is a computer system that I played many times at a friend's house, and I did enjoy it. But again, it's not something that I owned. So for me, $100 was just a little bit too much to spend. Walmart was blowing these out for 50% off. So I ended up getting this for $50 Canadian plus tax, which is quite honestly the price that I think it should have been when it was released at retail. So I picked this up. I'm quite happy with it. Apparently you can load additional games on like a USB drive and play pretty much whatever you want off of that. So I think that's pretty cool. I would just have to figure out how to do it. Just to give you an idea, when it comes to home computers for me, these were expensive back in the day. My family certainly couldn't afford a Commodore 64 in the 80s when this came out. Just to give you an idea, the first home computer that my family had was an IBM 386 DX90. So I'm forgetting how long ago that was, but I'm really dating myself there. It was a pretty good computer, head and shoulders obviously better and more advanced than the Commodore 64, but we didn't get our computer probably until at least 10 years after these Commodore computers were on the market. So anyways, that's my first Black Friday deal, and I'll move on to the next one. The next stop that I made for electronics is Best Buy, where I picked up this copy of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Switch. This is a system that I've had for just under a year now. I don't have that many games for it just because they tend to be expensive. It takes a long time for the prices to drop, especially these first party titles. So normally this is $80 at Best Buy. It was on sale for $50, and I ended up finding what was left of a gift certificate. I had $35 and change on that. So when all was said and done, this cost me about 20 bucks out of my own pocket. So I've obviously got no problem with that. I was happy to get this for so little. I've actually got a used copy of it for my Wii U, but I haven't played it yet. I actually bought the used copy after I temporarily put the Wii U away. So at some point I'll pull that out again and play some of those games. But for now, I'd rather play it on my Switch. I've got the benefit of playing it on the go, and of course the higher resolution that the Switch version of the game brings. So again, very happy to have this. And now we'll move along to my next purchase. Okay, so that's it for my electronics pickups. Now I'm going to get into my Transformers related purchases. So after I was done at Best Buy, I decided to pop by my local EB Games to, of course, look at video games. And I thought I would also check out what they had along the line of modern Transformers, because they've normally got a variety of Titans Return figures and Power of the Prime stuff. So I popped in, and I ended up seeing a figure on the shelf that I hadn't seen before. I wasn't expecting it to come out, so I was really caught off guard here. So here's what it is. It's obviously a Bumblebee figure. You could see the price is $71.99 Canadian. That's because I have the Edge Platinum card, so I get the lower price. On the side of the box, it says Transformers Bumblebee Volume 2 Retro Pop Highway. And then on the back, they've set it up almost like a mixtape, where you've got side A and side B, with a bunch of songs that are basically based on titles of 80s pop and rock hits. So I'll read them out quickly. There's only 8 songs here. Won't You Rock and Roll With Me, Spark of Rock and Roll, Optics Without a Faceplate, Mr. Cassetta Bato, which is the Blaster Road Trip remix. Side B, we've got Rock Me Off a Tryon, Owner of a Lonely Spark, Hungry Like a Predacon, and Walk Like a Cybertronian. So anybody growing up in the 80s might recognize some of those titles. They've basically just taken some pop and rock hits and put a Transformers or Cybertronian spin on it, and pretended that they're tracks that are appearing on this cassette tape. So this is just a protective sheath on the outside. I'm quickly going to take this off. Just slides off like that. And inside you get something else that also looks like a cassette tape. This would be side A. And then back in the day when you made a mixtape, you would write the name of it just on a little sticker on the front. And then there's the flip side here. You've got side B up here. Now, I'm pretty sure that, and I haven't done any research on this yet, but I'm pretty sure that this is just a gold repaint of the Studio Series Bumblebee, which I don't have yet. I quite honestly don't know the logic behind making him gold, unless it's supposed to be an homage to Goldbug, which obviously Bumblebee was reformatted into back in the day. But what caught my eye, and again, I didn't know anything about this, was this little panel here. So if you slide your finger inside and pull it down, you could see that there is a little compartment inside there, and I'm not sure if the camera's picking this up, but there's actually 2 mini cassette tapes in there. And I was really excited to see that because I know that, I'm forgetting if it was some kind of a Comic-Con exclusive, but there was a Hasbro set that I believe came with the movie version of Bumblebee. I don't remember if it was gold or yellow or what, but it had a movie version of Bumblebee and 2 G1 reissue dinosaur cassettes, which are pretty rare cassettes that were only released in Japan back in the day. There was a total of 4 in the set, and what was unique about them is that each pair of cassettes would combine to make a larger robot, which obviously we're familiar with when it relates to combiners, but isn't very common when it comes to cassettes. I mean, I know there's other combining cassettes from the 80s, but these Dinobot ones, or sorry, dinosaur ones, are extremely uncommon. So anyways, I pretty much bought this so I could get my hands on the reissue set of the Dino cassettes. I've got a knockoff set that I bought of all 4 of them, probably going back about 7 or 8 years ago, and even those have gone up a lot in price. But I wanted an official set, so I managed to get that with this set here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to bother reviewing the Bumblebee figure, because I think, again, if it's the Studio Series one, it's been done many, many times on YouTube. So at some point, though, I might get around to reviewing the 2 Dino cassettes here, because those are something that I'm very interested in. And I don't think there's a lot of reviews for them on YouTube at the moment, so I think that might be just an interesting thing to take a look at. So anyways, really happy to have this. And now I'm going to move on to some of my vintage Transformers and Gobots purchases from the flea market the next day, which was on the Sunday. I never have much luck finding vintage Gobots or Transformers at this particular flea market, but there is a guy there who deals with Star Wars figures from pretty much all generations. And quite honestly, what he deals in goes way beyond just action figures. I've seen Star Wars branded items there that I didn't even know existed. For example, I've seen Star Wars Dixie cups. If I'm not mistaken, he's had cereal boxes. Just you name it, and this guy seems to have this stuff or be able to get it. So anytime I'm at the flea market, I always like to check out this guy's booth, just because I do think it looks pretty cool on display, even though I don't collect it myself. And when I looked in one of the cases, a couple of non-Star Wars figures caught my eye. And I'll show you the first one here. So anybody not familiar with this is Gobots Buggy Man. And it's not in bad condition. I mean, there's a couple of paint chips at the front, but this windshield here is intact. A lot of times that's missing. It's a good little figure. I mean, it's got some good heft to it just because of the die-cast content. You could see that there are some chrome parts on there which are nice. If Here's a quick look at the underside. You can see it's got the visible head syndrome, which is pretty common for Gobots, but he does have the chrome legs here. So this was one of the figures that I saw and obviously bought. And the second one is this one right here. If I'm not mistaken, the name of this one is Gobots Fitor. So I didn't have either of these figures, or at least not these color variants. I didn't have this one at all, and when it comes to Buggy Man, if I'm not mistaken, I've got a blue boxed variant of it from the Machine Robo line. So I was pretty happy to get both of them in my collection. This looks like a pretty cool figure too. You can see a nice translucent blue cockpit here at the front. Again, because of the die cast, it's got some good weight to it. You know, even the nice chromed out wings here. A quick look at the underside. You can see, again, visible head syndrome. Surprise, surprise. So I was obviously very interested in those two figures. He had a couple of other Gobots, but they were broken. One of them was Crasher. And the other one, I'm just drawing a blank here, but he did have one other one that was broken. So I passed on those two. He had a little sign above the Gobots that said $10 each, which quite honestly is a pretty good price. I mean, it's better than I see them go for certainly on eBay, especially when you factor in shipping. And it's in the ballpark of what I see at toy shows, but I was hoping to get a better deal on it. So I asked him what the best he could do if I bought the two Gobots were. And of course, he asked me to make him an offer. So I wasn't going to offer him 20 bucks. I thought I'd just take a stab in the dark and see how he felt about $10. So he came back at me with $12, and I pretty much made up my mind at this point. I was pretty sure he was going to cave because I don't think there's a huge market, at least at this particular guy's booth for Gobots, really. So I just said to him the best I could do is 10 bucks on the pair. If he wanted to make the deal, that I'd buy them. And if not, no worries, I was just going to pass on them. So he quickly accepted my offer. You know, again, I was really happy to just add these two Gobots to my collection. I'm always on the lookout for Gobots. Just unfortunately, I find that they've been creeping up in price over the years. So it's really hard to get them for a decent price. So to get them for two of them for 10 bucks, I thought was pretty much just a steal. After I locked down the deal for the Gobots, I asked the guy if he had any other Gobots or Transformers kicking around that weren't broken. And he said other than one larger figure that he had in another display case, that was pretty much it. So I asked him to show me the other figure that he was referring to. And he actually had this guy right here in robot mode on display. He had $25 on it. And for anybody that's not familiar with this, this is G16 Shot. For any more modern Transformers collectors, you'll probably recall that there was a Titans Return version of this figure, and Hasbro actually did a pretty awesome job with it. But quite honestly, the G1 version holds up really well in my opinion, even given how old it is. If I'm not mistaken, this figure is from 1987, but it's a pretty terrific figure. Again, where this figure, I think, is not as strong, obviously, as the Titans Return version would be articulation, but that can, of course, be expected given how old the figure is. I mean, it is G1 after all. So I asked the guy what the best price he could give me on Sixshot was, and again, he asked me to make him an offer. I said I could do 10 bucks, and he said no, he couldn't go that low. He went to 20. I went to 15, and we pretty much agreed on that. So I thought for 15 bucks to get a G16 Shot in pretty nice condition, albeit with neither of the two accessories that he comes with, I still thought was a good price. He normally comes with two white guns. Unfortunately, those guns will cost about $25 each on the aftermarket. So given that it didn't come with the accessories, I think $15 was pretty much a steal for this figure. I'm just going to show you the underside here. The chrome is in really nice condition. It's unfortunately smudged up with fingerprints right now from the guy handling it at the flea market, and even from me playing with it a little bit. When I bought it, it was in robot mode, so when I was in the car actually waiting for my wife to get something from another store, once we were done at the flea market, I was actually playing with it and transformed it into the spaceship mode. So some of those fingerprints are from me. But honestly, I've got a Sixshot already in my collection, and that one's complete. So to have another one that I can display in one of the alt modes, I think is pretty cool. And for $15, I honestly don't think you can beat that deal for a G1 figure of this size. So yeah, really happy to have another G1 Sixshot figure in my collection. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. Thank you very much for checking out my Black Friday weekend deals. I've got to say I'm really happy with my haul this year. Certainly getting the Commodore 64 Mini for half price. And then quite honestly, those Gobots and Transformers I just thought were a huge score. I just never find stuff like that in the wild, you know, unless I'm at a specific, you know, 80s toy show or TFCon. I just don't tend to find that stuff. So I'm really happy to add that stuff to my collection. And yeah, you know, for a change, I thought I would do a video from this side of the camera. I know I don't do that very often. I think the last time I did this was my garage sale pickup series from the summertime. And of course, I'm going to do that again next summer when I'm doing my garage sale pickup videos. But every so often, I might do another video from this perspective. I just think it adds a little variety to the channel, and I don't know, keeps things interesting. Anyways, thanks again for watching, everybody. And of course, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share my channel. Take care.